Advertising revenue in general is still dropping after a disastrous decline in the last 18 months or so. This new advertising outlet, which is based mainly in our region, is set for another record year. Business is literally on the up and up. It turned out to be a unique form of advertising. It all started in Bristol. Cameron Balloon started 21 years ago in a church hall in Cotton, Bristol, with only Don Cameron and a seamstress. It was a venture that attracted cynicism from the conventional business world. But Don Cameron, a dedicated balloonist himself, was not deterred. From making 5 balloons a year, he now makes 1 a day. With 45% of the world market, ballooning is rising above the recession. Business so far this year is 34% up on last. Increasingly, companies are becoming aware of the advantages of using a hot air balloon to advertise themselves. After all, who can resist looking at a hot air balloon floating above them?
It offers a longer-term advertisement to companies, and it's a very unusual form of advertising. Not only is it very eye-catching, but I don't think there's a resentment factor built in. You know, you can pop out and make a cup of tea while the commercial's on the television, or you turn over the page if it's a magazine. With a balloon, people will drive out of their way to see a balloon on the horizon. And when they get up to it and it says Jaguar cars or whatever, they'll get their camera out and take a photograph, and you've got your advertisement in someone's family album for many years to come.
3/4 of Cameron balloons are built for sponsors like Bernard Pettiford, who 11 years ago bought his first. He used to spend £150 a week advertising his company in local newspapers. He immediately spotted a balloon's potential for promoting his fuel company, and the result was staggering. The first year he flew the balloon over Bristol, his turnover leapt 23% for an outlay of £9,000, and that was spread over 4 years.
We noticed that as soon as we purchased a hot air balloon and advertised across Bristol, because it was an ideal thing to have a balloon, because most of our business is within a 25-mile radius of Bristol, and the balloon adequately covers that radius. I think the balloon is a magical thing in the air, and people naturally look up to it, and the name is then imprinted on their mind far more than if they were taking the name from a newspaper.
The range of balloon advertising is limitless. Photographs of balloons find their way into publications all over the world. Mr. Pettiford saw his in a magazine in India and Saudi Arabia. Cameron Balloon's turnover last year was £5 million. They expect an increase of £500,000 this year despite the recession. Over the last 3 years, the company has trebled the number of balloons it makes, with a workforce now standing at 100. The average cost of a balloon is £16,000. It costs £2,000 to run each year, and it has a lifespan of about 4 years. The cost of a balloon depends on how elaborate it is. Unusual shapes and extravagant artwork push the cost up to £30,000. But a commercial balloon is tax deductible, making it even more attractive. Increasing sales have taken even Camerons by surprise.
I think it comes back partly to this business of longer-term advertisement. We find advertising managers who are saying, well, I'll spend a few £1,000s on a balloon which I'll have for a year or two, rather than an advertisement which I'll have for a day or a week. And also, we've been slightly more aggressive with our marketing. At the beginning of the year, we thought it was going to be a very bad year. We had a bad January. And so we came up with various ploys, such as interest-free credit for private balloons. And I think this has brought some private balloonists into the market who wouldn't have bought balloons otherwise.
Cameron's is continuing to expand into overseas markets, which now account for 70% of its business. For Cameron's, the sky appears to be the limit. What a lovely way of mixing business with pleasure. Have you ever been in one, Leon?
No, never, but it's good to see a business that benefits from inflation.